Okay, welcome back. And in this video for the FT Flyer, building the FT Flyer aircraft, we're going to prepare the horizontal stabilizer to get everything ready for that. That preparation is going to include finish cutting out this center section, doing a 66% cut through here so we can break it, and we're going to add hot melt glue all the way around it. And we're also going to add hot melt glue in this hinge, very, very thin layers to prevent the paper from delaminating. And then we're also going to install the control horn. So that's quite a bit of stuff. So the first thing to do is to cut this out. It's straightforward, but it's needs to be very accurate. So I'm going to use the X-Acto knife with the extra sharp blade, and for this I am not going to bother with taping this ruler down. It should be just fine. Do a light score, second light score, third light score through the bottom part of the paper. Do the second one. Light score, two light scores, three light scores. Now, I didn't go all the way to the red line. The reason I didn't is because I want this line bound here to, I want to cut the red line first. So that it comes out nice. Actually, I'm going to cut down at the red line is what I meant, and then I'm going to score it on this side so I get a nice, even and straight cut all the way around. You can go around here and inspect the other side, see how well it was cut. And sometimes you just have to stick the thing through the foam and make sure it comes all the way out. Okay, there we go. So now you can just, with the razor blade, push that out, and out it comes. Okay. So that's in good shape. The last thing to do with the same razor blade is to cut the 66% cut through here. And for this, I do like to use the blue tape because this is a sensitive and important cut. I don't want it to screw up because the ruler moved. So I'm going to add some blue painter's tape to hold the ruler in place. Okay. I'm going to use the same razor blade to do basically two light scores. The first one breaks the paper. Second score goes a little bit deeper, and that's all you need because you don't want to cut the paper on the other side. Okay, and so we'll see how well that worked. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Good. All right, so now I'm just going to break this like that. Okay. And fold it back. Now we're going to put the bevel on this side, the short side of the elevator. And so let me get my sanding. I'm going to use sanding blocks for this and not the razor blade. The reason is the razor blade is nice if you've got a real sharp blade and you got a good steady hand. I'm going to show the sanding block because it is easier. Be right back. Okay, I'm ready to sand the bevel on the elevator here. And what I've done, as you can see, is I've drawn a black line there to give me a guide as to how far to make the bevel. So as it falls over, I'm going to draw, I've got this line drawn right here, and I'm going to bevel to that line at a 45-degree angle. Also got my hot melt glue gun warming up over here, because that's going to be the next step. So, I got the 150 grit and a 400 grit on my block of wood, and we're going to sand it. I'm just sort of holding the sanding block at 45 degrees and sanding carefully, not to sand the paper. Okay, and I'm going to check it and sand some more. Okay, this is going to take longer than I thought. Sanding is something you should be hopefully able to do. I'll be back in a second as soon as I finish sanding. Okay, I started with the coarser sandpaper. Then I do a finish sanding like this. You just do one kind of pass like that, and one kind of pass like this. And I'll check, and you sort of sight down here and see that it's nice and straight, and that 45-degree angle isn't that important, but you want it to be able to bend over without having a a raised portion in the middle or something like that, so that it bends over nice and straight like that. Okay. Now, obviously it's important not to cut through the paper, and looks like we've done a good job with that. So now that that's sanded, the next step will be to get the glue gun ready. So I'm going to stop here for a second and get the glue gun. Okay, got my glue gun ready, and what I'm going to start with is the outside sections of the horizontal stabilizer, including the outside section of the elevator, and using the technique of a short little strip of hot melt glue, probably 2 or 3 inches like that, and then take a wiper and wipe that down. Okay, and if you need, take a second wiper, wipe the edges, and just continue that all the way around. Okay, you've seen me do that before, I think, but it's something that's really important to prevent the paper from delaminating. I'm going to continue all the way around and be right back. Okay, now that I've done the outside edges, it's now time to do this bevel and the other half of the hinge here, so that both sides have got some hot melt glue on them. But this one's the one that's really, really important to get off all that you can. You want a very thin coat. So I'm going to do this in 2 steps. I'm going to do a small section of the bevel and a small section of the rest of the hinge, and then wipe those off together. So it's going to be a real small section. Okay, real small section here. Take a wipe it this way, wipe it this way, so I get it all the way to the end. Take another wipe, get as much off as you can. Okay. So now, leave them open, let them dry. But doing small sections like that is the way to make this thing work well. I'm going to go ahead and take some of the hot melt glue off my wipers. and I'm just going to continue on about an inch or inch and a half section at a time, go all the way down to the other end. Be right back. Okay, next is to put on the control horn, and you have the two options here, the half A, Dubro half A control horn, or the control horn that Flite Test sells. So I'm going to use the half A, Dubro half A control horns. You could buy those at Heads Up Hobby. And so the thing to do here is the hinge like this, you want on the bottom. Okay, so I want the hinge to work the best when it's going up, so the airplane flies up better than it flies down. Because all you got to do is turn the power off and it'll fly down quite nicely. So I want the hinge to be up like this. That means the control horn is going to be on top. So where that little line was for the control horn in the pattern, I poked a hole through it, and we're going to mount the control horn on the elevator where that hole is, and I'm going to line it up so that the holes on the half A control horn are over the hinge itself. Okay, I'm going to take a Sharpie marker, figure out where that should be, and mark it. Okay, right about there, and right about there. Okay, so I've got two marks where to put the hole. I will be back in a second show you the drill. So I've marked my holes, the two holes in the control horn, and I've drilled the hole out for one, but not for both. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take the screw, which is a 5/64 screw, and I'm going to put the screw through the hole in the control horn, and it has a flathead on it, so I got a flathead screwdriver that's powered, and so I've drilled the hole through, so this should fit through easily. Like that. And one last check to make sure I'm lined up on the hinge line, and I am. Okay. And so I'm going to turn it over, take the little plate, and get that started. Hold it in place, and use my powered screwdriver to start drilling it into the plate. Okay, so you can see how the plate holds on right there, and now I'm going to make sure that this is lined up, that the control horn is nice and straight in that direction, and then tighten the plate. Okay, that's good and tight. I'm going to line the plate up, and I'm going to line the control horn up, make sure it's right where I want it. Yep, that'll be fine. And I'm going to take a straight pin, and I'm going to punch through the other hole just to break the paper on both sides. And also to make sure that the control horn and the plate on the other side are lined up. And guess what, they're not. So I gotta move this just a little bit. Well, let's see. great. We'll try it from the back side here. So before you drill the second hole, you got to make sure that you know where the hole is going to be, and that the I'll be back in just a minute. I think I see what my problem is. These are directional, and I think I've got it started in the wrong hole. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got the control horn mounted. The problem was, when this is nice and square on this side, this is not in the same orientation. You had to turn this 20 or 40 degrees to get the two holes to line up. Don't know why. I've used these before and had never noticed that, but this may be a different batch or something. Who knows? So, control horn is in place. All this is glued. This is not tacky anymore, so I can bend it all the way around like this. Going down like this won't be a big problem. Going up, you can get quite a bit of a throw there if you want. So I think that's going to be a pretty good elevator. One last point, after you get the control horn in place, I went ahead and put the quick connect on. The size of this quick connect and the hole in the half-A control horn are a good exact match, so you didn't have to drill it out. And so I put it in, snap the black keeper in place, and I'm going to go ahead and put the screw in so I don't lose the set screw. Again, I like these set screws because there's a hex for it. Makes it nice and easy to keep it tight. Okay, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.